Hola, bienvenidos al primer episodio. Mi nombre es Víctor García de Chain Solutions, al primer episodio de WEBtalks de nuevo. Estamos de regreso con nuestros fantásticos y sobre todo atractivos episodios con profesionales que están apasionados por lo que hacen y relacionados definitivamente con la cadena de suministro. Desde el último episodio que tuvimos hasta este primer episodio que vamos a contar y que vamos a compartir el día de hoy, han pasado diferentes cosas y extremas, ¿no? En algunos casos. Y para eso vamos a comenzar el día de hoy con una excelente ponente. Tenemos muchas sorpresas preparadas para los siguientes webtalks que tendremos en las próximas semanas, pero el inicio, el comienzo del día de hoy creo que es uno de los mejores que pudimos haber dado y afortunadamente, tenemos a Liping Yang el día de hoy con nosotros. Seguramente ya hayan leído ustedes acerca del el flyer y la información acerca del tema del día de hoy, Negotiation Culture with China, la negociación, una cultura de negociación con China. Y esta región que ha estado desde ya más de 15 años en la mente, en las estrategias de las empresas y los profesionales, pues nos permite acercarnos cada vez más y más y pareciera que ahora estamos más cerca que nunca en un tema de comercio, de negociaciones. Pero dentro de todo esto se encuentra lo más valioso que creo yo que es una gran parte de la charla que nos vamos a llevar el día de hoy, que es un tema relacionado a un arte, probablemente podríamos llamarlo así, un arte, y sobre todo un tema muy humano. La charla del día de hoy será una charla en inglés, Vamos a cambiar dentro de unos segundos a ese idioma y esperamos de nuevo a todo el equipo de Chain Solutions que sea de su agrado y obviamente que nos invadan con sus preguntas y comentarios y compartan esta charla con quien ustedes consideren que es de su interés. Me voy a permitir ahora cambiar al idioma inglés y voy a dar una bienvenida a Liping Yang. Liping Yang, welcome for our first web talk here in Shane Solutions. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing good, Victor. How are you doing today?
Pretty good, pretty good. Has been awesome. The process of getting in contact with you has been an awesome process. We have seen your work on LinkedIn, on YouTube, and we said, you know what, we must have her on our show for our first show. And this is the third season that we are doing this,
Mm-hmm.
and you're the first invite that we have on our show. And
Mm-hmm.
definitely, I think it's something that for the new talents that we seen on college and we see on companies, this is gonna be a good opportunity to learn more about negotiations with China. So I'm gonna read a little bit about yourself
Mm-hmm.
with the if you allow me to.
Yes,
Um, so
please.
Liping Yang, you are a former Chinese instructor at University of South Florida from 2015 to 2019. You're a
Yes, that's
native
correct.
Chinese and has been teaching Chinese language and culture for 11 years in China,
Yes.
in
Mm-hmm.
Thailand, United States since 2011.
11.
Uh,
Yes, that's correct.
you received your first MA degree in teaching Chinese as a second language at Jinan University, China.
Mm-hmm.
And you also received your second MA degree on second language acquisition and teaching Chinese as a foreign language at the University of South Florida.
Mm-hmm.
You are bicultural background. You have bicultural
Yes.
background,
Mm-hmm.
and you have a passion for teaching, which I really enjoy speaking with people who has a passion about what they're doing, and if it's for teaching, because that's something that I also do. I
Mm-hmm.
think that's a very important task and passion for people and for professionals. You have the passion to teach Chinese language and culture.
Mm-hmm.
Have
Yeah.
led a number of opportunities on your career to teach students from different cultural background and with different learning needs. You start your own business. This happened and just happened right last year in
Last year.
2021,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
and you focus on coaching business professionals to improve their business Chinese communication skills and cultural awareness.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm doing right now. Yeah.
That's awesome, awesome. That
Mm-hmm.
cultural part and the word that you used on this description, passion, I think that's very important for our new young people that we have on like I said in college universities, because most of the stuff probably that one a person will think probably will be the technical part of doing a negotiation, right? Which is very difficult.
Mm-hmm.
It's nothing easy, but
Yes.
the cultural awareness, I think that makes easier communication with the people that we are doing business with.
Exactly.
So
Yes.
I'm sure that we're gonna hear a lot of this and you're today in the following minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So I would like to share a little bit about the information about China. If you
Mm-hmm.
allow
Yeah,
me
sure.
to,
Go ahead,
let me
please. Yes.
let me just share this information that we gathered together. Um, well, for the people who are listening to us, because probably Liping Yang already know this, but
Mm-hmm.
China historical civilization, I'm sorry, dates from at least year 2000, 1200 before Christ, from the third century. This is a country with a population of around 1,400 million in the world. It's number one in the world. An overwhelming majority of the population is found on the eastern half of the country. An estimated 96% of the population live on the eastern part of the country. There are eight major languages, but there are many ethnic groups in this country with their language. 52% of the population is not affiliating to any religion. 18.2% of the population are Buddhist, and 5.1 Christians. The biggest population age range is between 25 and 45 years old, with a 46.8 representation media age of 38.4 years of age, obviously. The major urban areas and their population are Shanghai with 20.46 million persons. Beijing is 15.87 million, and Zhongqing. Am I pronouncing that correctly? You just correct me a few minutes ago about this city. Did I pronounce that correctly?
Yes, almost close enough. Chongqing.
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 All
Yes.
right, all right.
Mhm.
Well, that city is 13.58 million persons. The school life expectancy in China is 14 years old. 14 years, I mean. Just to give you a reference here, in America, in Latin America, at least in Mexico, is around 12 years. That's between 11 and 12 years
Mhm.
of education, years in education. China GDP is $14.72 trillion. Those are in Mexico. That will be 4.72 millions of dollars.
Mhm.
Represents the 17.37 of the world GDP, and the GDP origin is 51.6% from services and 40.5% from industry. The most important import commodities are electrical and other machinery, oil and mineral fuels. The number one partner in Latin America for China is Brazil. So, with all this information gathered together, and obviously some of them I knew, some other I definitely didn't knew. Um, can you please start your presentation by telling us what exactly you do what is your presentation about yourself? Would you like me to share the presentation that you
Yes,
sent
yeah,
us?
that would be great if you can share it for me. Thank you.
Sure, we can.
Mhm.
Not a problem. Let me just put here on my screen.
Mhm.
Mm, This is right over here. Awesome. So I'm gonna share my screen here. About There you go.
Fantastic. I can see it now. Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay, thank you for having me here today, Victor. Yeah, first and foremost, thank you for having me here. And yeah, I would love to introduce myself very briefly a little bit. So my name is Li Pingyan. I'm a native Chinese, and I've been teaching Chinese since 2011 for almost 11 years so far. I just started my business last year. Yeah, so basically it's only almost like 1 year. And I used to teach Chinese in many different countries, for example, Thailand, United States, and mainland China. I moved to Puerto Vallarta, Mexico last year from San Francisco to start this journey. Yeah, it has been an amazing journey for me so far. Yeah. So my focus is on business professionals. Basically, they have the need who are doing business with Chinese people, right? Or they have the need to deal with Chinese clients, stuff like that. Yeah. This is the picture that I take in Puerto Vallarta from the Day of the Dead. Yeah. Isn't it amazing? Right. It's
Yeah.
so beautiful. Yeah.
You choose the right spot in Mexico.
Right? Yeah. People always tell me that this is the best destination for you to,
Yeah.
to choose a place to live in. Yeah. So I like it a lot. Mexican culture and food, they are all amazing to me. Yeah. Could you please go next page? Yeah. So my expertise is to help business professionals to improve their business Chinese communication skills. So I focus on a very specific skill, business Chinese, and also help them better understand the Chinese culture. So basically, I work with business professionals a lot, and they came from all different background, right? Some of them are like IT professional, marketing professional, or like financial professional, those kind of specific group of people. Yeah. So could you please go next page? Yeah. So right now I'm offering this standard program. It's lasts for 10 weeks, and it's completely customized based on the client's needs. So it basically covers two parts. So let me briefly go over it for everybody. So the first part is the foundation, like the phrases, Chinese phrases and vocabularies and culture idioms, because this is foundation for everything. If you need to know about Chinese, let's say if you're working IT industry, there's certain word, especially for IT industry, you need to use when you communicate with Chinese people or you deal with your Chinese clients. So the second part would be communication effectiveness. So because Chinese is a tonal language, right? You have to say every single word correctly based on the tone. Otherwise, it's gonna mean different things, right? Kind of tricky. So this part is also very important. The third part will be the culture part, the business culture and etiquette. Because Chinese culture is very unique, very different from Western culture. So if you don't know it, oftentimes it's gonna cause misunderstanding and conflicts, right? So this is also a very important part. And the last part would be communication style. Because in Chinese culture, communication style is very vague, very indirect. Sometimes yes means no, sometimes no means yes. Very tricky. Yeah. So the communication style is also very important. So I'm going to teach you how to do negotiation, how to do small talk, how to manage conflicts, how to build the relationship in the business environment. So those are skills that are really important if you are business professionals who are dealing with Chinese clients. So yeah, this is pretty much what I'm doing right now. Yeah, it's 10 weeks program. I'm coaching clients on a daily basis and try to help them and make a difference, you know? Yeah. So can you go on the next page? Yeah, so basically it's 10 weeks program, 1 hour per week. We meet on Zoom. Yeah, and I design the program for them. I create the material for them and create the assigns for them. So everything is online, and they will be supported for this almost 2 months, right? Email support or the video support, and the feedback will be available. Yeah, so this is pretty much about my whole program. And yeah, can you please go next page? So I don't want to spend too much time talk about myself.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, so the highlights about my program, I'm gonna go over this very quick. Okay, so the highlights about my program is that right now on the markets, it's really really hard to find business Chinese materials. You can find some videos or articles, but it's not very practical. It's sometimes not practical in real world. You cannot use it in real world. So what I'm doing is that I create materials based on your need. Create videos, create posts, create articles, especially for your need. Like for example, you need to negotiation. I'm gonna create a bunch of material for you so that you can learn. Yeah. So yeah, back to the idea that I'm talking about earlier. I teach specific skills, not a general Chinese course. Not grammar, not vocabulary, not just culture elements, very specific skill. Yeah. So like I said earlier, I have been teaching Chinese for 11 years. I just have a great passion for it. Never get tired of it. Yeah. So that's why I decided to choose this path as my future career. And also, I have built up my own YouTube channel, my LinkedIn profile, and my Facebook group. So it's a free community. Everybody can access to it. So if you are willing to learn more tips about learning Chinese, especially in the business world, in the business setting, to feel free to jump onto my YouTube or my LinkedIn, my Facebook. Just follow up, get some more free tips. Yeah. So, Victor, can you go next page so that I can show
Sure.
them my
Sure.
this is my YouTube channel.
Oh,
It's
awesome.
Learn Chinese for Business. Yeah, I got a bunch of videos there. So yeah, feel free to check it. Like I teach people how to greet Chinese people, how to call them appropriately, how to exchange a business card, how to make a compliment. Those small things, very small, but make very big differences when you're doing business with them. Yeah. My LinkedIn are same. My name, Li Bingyan. You can search my name and find me. And my Facebook group are same. Learn Chinese for Business. So yeah, feel free to check it out if you want to get more tips. Okay, everybody. So this is pretty much about me. I think I've talked enough about myself. Yeah.
You haven't. You haven't. So yeah, I have seen you very active on LinkedIn, and I saw some of your videos on YouTube. And I think you're, like you said, I mean, I think you're doing a difference here. And that's what this show is about. People that are doing something that is probably a little bit different from the most of the people who are doing something related to what we do. But I think you have the right ingredients here: passion and trying to make a difference. So I think that's very important for the people who are just like you said. It's not a grammar thing. It's not something just specific on the language, but skills that probably could be mentioned as soft skills or human skills of the person, which I think are
Exactly.
very important. So
Exactly.
I totally agree with you, and I love that you are sharing this with us. Now we are seeing your LinkedIn profile, right?
Yes, my
All right.
linking. Yeah.
So if anybody is interested on contact you, it could be through email or through any of the platforms that we just mentioned,
Yes,
right?
absolutely. Yeah,
All right.
absolutely. Yeah, shoot me a message on LinkedIn or YouTube. Yeah, I will reach out to you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. I love it. I love it.
Mhm.
So you're in YouTube, you're on Facebook, you're on LinkedIn, and you're in TikTok, right?
Also on TikTok. Yeah. Feel
Awesome.
free to contact with me, guys. Welcome.
All right. All right. I love this. I love this. Is there anything else you would like to add?
No, thank you, Victor. I'm down here. Yeah.
All right, all right, no, not a problem, not a problem. So how you decided this to become a teacher or on doing this specific?
To be honest, with this so many years of experience, I have teach tons of students from all varieties of background. I used to teach kindergartners, 5 years old. I used to teach middle schools, high schoolers, university students, business professionals. Yeah, universities and middle schools, high schools, kindergartens. All those different kind of backgrounds. But when I, communicate with business professionals, because I have a large amount of students, they are business professionals. They're doing business with China or they are working in a Chinese company, right? So I realized that some of them actually can speak Chinese very well. They have no problem to communicate with people in real life. Like they can handle the day-to-day conversation very perfectly. But when it comes to work, when it comes to deal with the situation in your workplace, let's say how to handle your Chinese clients over the phone, how do you handle them during the meeting, how do you communicate with them during negotiation, I found it they are struggling with these specific skills, right? Because it's different. Sometimes you know Chinese, you can speak Chinese doesn't mean you know what to say, doesn't mean you know how to handle the situation appropriately. You may sound grammatically correct, but you may not be culturally appropriate. You know what I mean? You may offend people without knowing it. Yeah. So I noticed this. I feel like there's a need there, right? So I really want to put myself out there to help them. Very specific skill, right? And I did some research online and found it out. It turns out not so many materials and guidelines available. So I feel like I have a responsibility. You know, I have a responsibility as a Chinese teacher, and plus I believe that in the future, I mean, China is growing very fast right now. In the future, if we can understand each other, either China, Mexico, China, American, China with some other countries in the world, if we can understand each other more, if we can be connected, we can achieve that mutual understanding, the whole world is going to be a better place, right? So I feel like this is my mission. That's why
Totally.
I put myself out there, to try to do this business. Well, to be honest, I'm a really shy person. Yeah, it's very terrified for me to make my first video back in last year. I
It
was like
was?
so, yeah,
Wow. All right.
very scary experience for me, but I did it.
Well, if you have a talent, I think you must use it, and that's a benefit for you and for everybody else, I think. So I think you're in the right path. We have a set of questions for you, ready for you here. We would like to start with the first one. So the first question that we have for you is what is the purpose of negotiations for Westerners versus for Chinese people?
I would say this is a very good question because Westerners view the purpose of negotiation. It's very different from how Chinese people view the purpose of negotiation. Because for Westerners, the purpose of negotiation is just to try to reach to agreement, right? Sign a contract, make a deal, and that's it. But for Chinese people, we view it very differently. Because we want the purpose of negotiation for us is to make a connection, build a contract, build a relationship, and build a connection first, right? So that both parties can work together to achieve the mutual benefits. So it's a very different mindset. Making a quick deal versus build a long-term relationship. I would say that's the fundamental differences between Westerners and Chinese people in terms of the purpose of negotiation. So when you do negotiation with Chinese people, you really need to ask yourself, how do I align when we start with those two fundamentally different mindset, right? Yeah, so that's very important.
All right. So
Yeah.
you mentioned this connection. The Chinese culture, it makes is the first important thing here is to make a connection and to have a relationship with the counterpart, right?
Yes.
And I think that is because they are interested on building something that is lasting, right? It's a relationship in a long period relationship, right?
Yes.
Um, on this path, what do you think are the fundamental differences between Chinese people and Westerners in negotiation?
Yeah, so it's because the different purpose for negotiation between Westerns and Chinese people. So I would say the fundamental differences is that the process of negotiation. Because for Westerners, their goal is to make a deal, right? Make a good deal, and sign the contract, get things done. Everything's very quick, right? Once the contract is signed, and everything, the negotiation is over, right? But for Chinese, since our goal is to build up a long-term relationship, build a mutual trust, so the negotiation style is taking longer time. It's an ongoing process, right? It's an ongoing dynamic process. I mean, to be honest, I feel that for Chinese people, the negotiation doesn't really begin until the contract is signed, right? Oftentimes you will notice that for the first few meetings, there are lots of like seemingly unrelated discussion with business, right? They will talk about their kids, their families, their hometowns, their hobbies, and they will ask you the same, like, what is your hobbies? How's your family? How about your hometowns? So on and so forth. Oftentimes Western get frustrated. They think that what we're doing here, the business doesn't go anywhere. You're like completely wasting my time. But actually not. As a matter of fact, this is when they start to build the relationship. They are trying to collect the information to get know more about you, to say if they can trust you, and if they can build a relationship or friendship with you. So that's what I mentioned earlier. It's an ongoing process. It's dynamic, and it takes longer. It takes a long time. So that's the fundamental differences about the process of of negotiation.
So this is from what I'm listening and what I'm hearing here is that this is something related to culture, right?
Yes,
Because we are very used to this type of culture in which we would like to get into business like right away. Money, time is money, right?
yes,
So
yes,
if you prepare yourself when you do this connection, it's like talking with your friend or probably with a member of your community, and instead of just seeing this other person as the target of the negotiation, right?
yes,
So
exactly. Yeah, you're
yeah, I
spot on.
totally agree with you. I mean, the culture part is very, very important. And if we identify that part, probably that will help us to reach probably a better agreement than what we thought it will be on the first time that we thought about it. So
Yes, exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, awesome, awesome. I love it. So you mentioned that this is a process. This is an ongoing process. It's not something that stops. It's something that it keeps going, right?
Mm-hmm.
Through the relationship. So that
Yes.
means that probably we can add more if this relationship persevere on this range of business.
I'm sorry. Could you please repeat that?
Sure, sure. Do you think that if the relationship goes in the right path, do you think that the negotiations definitely will be positive affected on this?
Sure.
Because at times
Yes.
we only think that business is business and that's it. But what you're saying is that probably it's more related to the relationship, the personal relationship that I have with the person, right?
Hmm. Yeah, I would say definitely if you can build up a relationship first, it's definitely gonna make your negotiation more efficient and more successful.
All right,
Yeah.
good, good,
Hmm.
good, good. So the third part here, the third question that we have for you, this is a mindset adjustment.
Hmm.
This is the very first time we need to do. What is the first part that we need to do on planning to the business with China? Is it the mindset adjustment?
Uh, yeah, I would say the mindset adjustment is very, very important because we come from different culture background, right?
Hmm.
Sometimes we have on our way to think about things, and apparently Chinese people they think different, they behave very differently, right? So I would say have the right mindset is the foundation to do business with Chinese people, right? So since we're talking about negotiation, I would say the mindset you really need to have is that you have to understand that the negotiation for Chinese people is the ongoing process. Don't rush, just be patient and be persistent. Yeah, don't rush to try to make a quick deal because it's not gonna work like that way. If you really want to, do business and make this successful, just try to be more flexible, think differently. Just need to you have to shift your mindset a little bit. That's the mindset you need to have when you're dealing with Chinese professionals or Chinese business partners.
So how do we do that mindset change here?
Uh, I would say be open-minded and forget about everything you think you already know about China.
Forget about everything you learn about negotiations. Start from zero, right?
Yes, be open-minded,
All
be
right.
open, be flexible to the new things. Something new is to you, sometimes we tend to resist it, right? Because we have our own way, like a fixed mindset in everybody's mind. So forget about everything you think you already know, and just be open-minded, try to figure out, try to understand how does it work and what's the difference, how does it work, how does it affect the business, how does it affect the negotiation behavior, right? And once you understand it, it's more likely you'll be ready to work with them, right? We're ready to deal with those differences. And I would suggest also, if you have a chance to just go to China in person, you may have heard about China, you may read about China, right? You may heard of somebody else, you may have some experience, but not in like a real experience. So just go there to see everything with your own eyes. You will notice that everything's are totally different. Everything's totally different. Yeah, so there's no better way than have a real experience, right? So you will see the changes, you will see the culture, you will see how people actually behave, you will see how do they think, how do they treat their clients. Those first-hand experiences are very important to you. And plus, if you are really committed, if you're considering seriously, if you are serious and committed to doing business in China, you will have to go there anyway, right? I mean, yeah, if you want to develop a close, like a firm business relationship with your partners, the face-to-face communication is always important, right? It's gonna be help you to build the relationship, and it will show your business partners that you're serious, right? You're serious, you're making an effort. So I would say, yeah, have it if you have a chance to go there, and you will get a chance to experience all the culture differences.
Awesome.
Yeah.
You know what? I have many students right now that I'm teaching. I teach in the three different schools, and in one school, the third language is required. It's not that's not only the requirement of second language, but also the requirement of third language, right?
Wow, that's
So
amazing.
yeah, yeah, it is. It's a challenge, definitely.
Hmm.
I think I couldn't do it if I was in their situation. I think it was very difficult. But the most of the students, what they choose is either Chinese, Korean, or Japanese. That's
Hmm.
what they choose most of the time. And most of the students, they are like Generation C right now. What we are seeing there is not the millennials, but all Generation C on
Hmm.
college.
Hmm.
And most of them, I think kind of understand, or I think they understand very well that the target of learning a language is more to understand the culture of that language of that country. So that will give them the chance to become closer whenever they need to do business or expand their own business in that location. So I think that's a very good opportunity. And what you're saying here, it kind of confirms that well, there's nothing else that's gonna replace the face-to-face negotiation, and also it will give you a chance to learn about the stuff that you probably have a perception on this, but once
Yes.
you're there, that perception probably is gonna change, and that's usually I haven't been in China ever,
Mhm.
but I hope I can fix that soon. Um,
Yeah,
but every time that I talk to somebody, they said most of the time they say it wasn't the way I was imagining in my head. It was totally
exactly.
different, and they come back from their surprise in a positive manner. That they say, "Wow, this is like big. I thought it was big, but not that big, and I thought they were good, but not that good." So yeah, most of the things that probably we are experiencing here is the Western part of the influence that we have in the Western.
Exactly.
And right now with the situation that we have, obviously there's a lot of information that probably is misled or is not correct or is not precise. But I think your suggestion is best ever. I think we should go there, visit, go like a tourist probably on the first time, but probably in the second time you want to go there as a businessman or a business
Yes,
woman, and,
yes,
and then do something on regards the benefit of China and Mexico, or China and the world, or Mexico and the world, right? So I truly
absolutely, absolutely. I can speak from my own experience. I mean, this is the first time for me to live in Mexico, right? I have zero experience of about Mexico before I moved to here. So everything I know about Mexico is from TV, from news. Everybody tell me that it's not safe. It's not okay to go there by yourself. It's not safe at all. Lots of gun shooting, stuff like that. But the
yeah.
reality is that when I come to here, it's totally different. I love the food here. I love culture here, and people are so nice and friendly, right? It's like everything is different when I actually to experience everything by myself. All the perceptions that I have, all the bias that I have before, it's all gone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. I
Mhm.
agree with that. It's like watching a movie, right? If somebody just tells you the story about the movie or how they like it, well, probably once you see it, you will go, well, it's totally different as the way the
Yes.
people told me, right? It's totally different.
Hmm.
All
Yes.
right. Um, so my next question here, Lipping, is what should we do when negotiating with Chinese people?
Uh, Well, this is a very good questions. I got people asking me, a lot for these questions. I would say, 关系 relationship, because in Chinese we call 关系. That means relationship or connection. Yeah, in Chinese. So I would say 关系 relationship is it's very essential. It's very important. I cannot stress this enough. Like I mentioned earlier, that's how we're doing business, right? We want to do business with friends. We always want to build a relationship and connection first. So if you fail to build that kind of relationship, right, you basically are a stranger to them, right? So I would say we have this very old saying in Chinese. It's 先做朋友，再谈生意. It means friendship first and business later. Yeah, so we always want to try to build that long-term relationship and mutual trust first. To be honest, I feel that for Chinese people, there may only just two kind of people in the business world. You either friend to me, or you're a stranger to me, right? So that's why we spend lots of time try to get to know you, try to collect the information about you, try to assess the trustworthiness about you, to try to get to know you on more personal level before we make any major decision, before we sign any major contract, right? So yeah, again, 关系 relationship is very important. That's why social gatherings are so common in China during negotiation. Oftentimes you will see them, go out together, go to club together, doing karaoke together, eating together, drinking together, or playing golf together, because the guanxi relationship, slowly the relationship can be built up during social gatherings, you know. So yeah, that's how it works. It takes time and effort, I would say. It's not like it cannot be done overnight, over a few days or a few weeks. It takes time and it takes effort to build a firm relationship. And it even takes more time and effort to maintain it and sustain it, because you have to nurture it, right? You cannot just you cannot just put it aside once it's established. You have to nurture and you have to maintain it. For example, checking with them regularly to see how's everything going with business, send a card on holiday or festival, right? Or if you can ask them, to meet over a meal or over coffee, meet with each other at social events, stuff like that, right? Once the relationship is built, it's gonna be long term. It's gonna be really hard to break it, and they're gonna be your loyal clients and partners. Yeah, so that's why I cannot stress this enough. 关系 relationship, it's really really important.
Guanxi. Did I pronounce
Yes,
that correctly? Guanxi. All right.
yes, perfect.
So that is like having a friend, right? It's like whenever you do a new friend here and you start to share stuff with him or with her and going out together and doing things together, right?
Yeah, it's
And
like a friend, right?
and then you start nurturing that
Yes,
friendship, right? You
yes,
call them once in a while. Probably you go to eat once a week or once a month, and from what I understand, is probably not something that is very common from the point of view from the Westerns. That's what you said.
yes,
And now I
yes,
understand why you say we should be open minded when doing business because it's
yes.
different, right?
Because for Westerners, they are they will not try to be a friend with their business partners before they sign a deal, right? That's not common for them, but for
Yeah,
Chinese,
it's
it's
not common.
common. Friends can be different kinds of people, can be relatives, can be your co-workers, can be a person from the same city or same town or same country. Let's say if you're from Mexico, I'm from Mexico. Hi, oh, we're friends. We can do business, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, it can mean different things. And when it comes to when we think we're friends, not a stranger, so the communication start to take place in the basis of a mutual help. We're helping each other whenever there's an issue coming up, or whenever there's a problem, we work together, right? We solve it together. We support each other. We're helping each other, rather than just pure self-interest. That's why the relationship is important when doing business with Chinese people.
I understand. I understand. Very
Yes.
clear. Very clear.
Hmm.
Um, so I love the best part here. I think is the friendship first, business later.
Yes.
That's important. I think. Yeah.
Mhm.
All right. I got the next question here. How to handle cultural differences when negotiating?
I would say, in order to handle this, I mean, you want to handle something, you have to understand what is it, right? So for this question, I would say, if you want to handle how culture difference, so very first thing you need to understand what are the culture difference is, what are the difference out there, and how does it work? How does it affect business, and how does it affect negotiation behavior, right? So yeah, this is gonna be interesting because I'm gonna share some information about Chinese culture, because Chinese culture really include those like several parts, main parts: Confucianism, Taoism, collectivism, guanxi relationship, faith. You know, those are the very very important elements in our culture. So among all these factors, I would say Confucianism, guanxi relationship, and faith are the most important one, and they has been studied the most by the researchers and scholars, because people believe that those are the key elements that affecting business world and affecting business culture in China, and affecting how people behavior when they do business, when they treat their clients, or when they do negotiation. So those are the key elements. So for Confucianism, we really focus on human part, a human harness, instead of making profit. So that explains why we want to take time to develop a relationship, to get to know you, to see we can if we can trust you, to collect the information, right? to build a long-term relationship instead of like rush to sign a contract and make a quick deal that explain everything. Yeah. So I would say the first thing is be aware of the culture differences, acknowledge it, be aware it, and then be ready to understand and work with it. Right. Once you know how that works, then you can navigate about it, and then you will ready to deal with it, right? When you do negotiation. And yeah, and the second part would be, just be open-minded, like I said earlier. Be open-minded, to be flexible. Yeah. Because at some point, everybody has their bias, has their stereotype, right? And those things are planted in your head, in your mind for a long time. It's hard to change. It cannot be get rid of over one night. Just to try to be a little bit flexible. Put aside your bias and your ego at home. Yeah, and try to learn a little bit. That's the way. I mean, you deal with the culture differences. Yeah.
Great, great, great
Mm-hmm.
answer. You know what? You make this sound like it's something enjoyable doing business because you
It
put all
is.
this parts. I was thinking to talk about a lot of stuff in this interview, but I never thought of talking about Confucianism, for instance, right? Which is, I think, very important. I mean, this is a very human part of the of business. We
Yes.
are humans, and we have cultures, and we have a point of view, and we have biases. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that's very important to consider that part inside the business world.
Yes.
Um, and yeah, it's very clear for me that culture. What is the cultural difference whenever you are talking about cultural difference with Asia or with China, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, good, good, good. My next question here is the do's and don'ts when negotiating with Chinese people. This is gonna be good, I think.
Yes, it's question is very practical, right? Yes. So I would say, so let's talk about don'ts first.
All right,
So like we mentioned earlier, relationship is the key, right? It's the foundation, so it's the key. So don't, I would say my number one don't would be fail to build a relationship. Like you don't even care, right? To build a relationship. Fail to build a relationship and maintain it and nurture it uh, until you only do it when you need it or when you're in trouble or when you need help. Because honestly speaking, that's gonna be too late, right? It's too late to build a relationship and maintain it when you're actually in trouble. So that's the number one don't for me. I think that's very important. And I mean, honestly speaking, we must nurture and plant and water the plants during the fall, right? So they can get the shade in the summer. Yeah, so don't wait till the last minute. Let's say if you want to make a trip to China and you want to meet your business partners or you want to find somebody to build up a relationship with them in China, you cannot do it on your first trip, right? Because it's too late. You have to do it beforehand, right? Plan earlier, plan in advance, so that the relationship can be built up beforehand before you get there. Yeah, so that's the one. That's the number one don't. Uh, Let me see. Number two, I think it will be let's talk about face because I think face is also a very important cultural context in Chinese culture. So we talked about the relationship earlier, right? The Guanxi relationship earlier, because that's have a deep roots coming from Confucianism, right? And face is another concept of Chinese culture. It means basically it represents a person's reputation, prestige, and the person's social status. And it's very important in Chinese culture is because Chinese people attach great importance to the concept of face, and they are very sensitive about it, and they will try to maintain it and have it all the time in all different aspects of social and business life. For example, if you have a face, that means that you have a high social status in the eyes of others. Face can be reflected in many ways. For example, it can be reflected in your wealth, in your intelligence, in your position, or in your achievement, your success. Yeah, can be reflected in many ways. And also, since it can also be, it can be given, can be lost, can be earned, and also can be taken away, right? So face literally means face, right? So it's a very interesting culture context. So yeah, we are very sensitive about it. So talking about face, you always want to give people face. You also want to keep face for somebody else. You don't want them lose face, and you have to protect their face, right? So when it comes to negotiation, so I would suggest the number two don'ts would be avoid making people or making your business partners or making the other side of the table of the negotiators lose face, because that's a huge thing that's gonna cause lots of misunderstanding and conflict. So always give them face. Always protect their face. Best scenario would be give them face. So let's say during the negotiation, if you criticize a Chinese negotiator in front of everybody, you're not giving him face, right? You make him lose face. So that kind of scenario, we don't want that happen. You have to try to avoid it. So you can try to give them face or protect their face. For example, at the end of the negotiation, you can say something nice, right? You can say, it's been a pleasure to work with you, or you're such an amazing businessman. I've learned a lot. Hope we can, continue to work together in the future. Stuff like that. You're giving people face, right? It's a very small thing. It's just an example, but you're giving people face, and yeah, they're gonna enjoy it. So they're gonna enjoy. They're gonna love it. So the number two don't would be avoid making people lose face. Yeah, those are two things very very important, because those are two key elements from our culture, and it's very important. Yeah, and yeah, of course, there's some other don'ts, and you lots of stuff you have to avoid. For example, don't be rush, right? Because it takes a long time and it's an ongoing process. Don't be rushed. Just be patient, and don't try to make a quick deal and you just gone, right? And also, don't be disrespectful, right? Don't be arrogant. So yeah, lots of stuff you need to pay attention. But the very important two things would be avoid just build a relationship until it's too late, and avoid making people lose face.
Awesome.
Yes.
All right. All right. All right. Good. Good. We have the following question here. How to handle conflicts during negotiation with Chinese people?
Um, that's a good question, I would say. Yeah, because we Chinese people generally don't like conflicts. Yeah, we don't like conflicts. It's also it's a part of the culture. I would say it in negotiation setting, if there's a conflict, I mean, think about it. What kind of situation do we have a conflict in negotiation? Most of the time, it could be like for the two parties, our maximum price doesn't match, right? So it's kind of, for most of the cases, always be the case like that. So I would say, to answer these questions, we have to go back to the same idea: lose face. Yeah, the face thing. Like I mentioned earlier, what is face and why is important in our culture. So you always want to give people face. Don't let them make face. So in Chinese business environment, so when they the business professional, when they encounter the conflicts and difficult situation, I would say they always will try to avoid conflicts. Don't It's not like face the conflict directly and make it become a bigger problem. No, where our general reaction would be avoid the conflicts and make concessions, smooth thing over, so that we stay on good term. It always back to the same idea, right? We stay on a good term. We maintain the relationship. We don't want to hurt the relationship. So yeah. So and plus also harmony is very important, because harmony is the very key. It's a very ideal state in Chinese philosophy, Chinese traditional philosophy. Yeah, we want to create a harmony situation, not like a very intense situation. So yeah, I would say for Chinese business profession, they would do like that. But for Chinese business profession with Westerners that say we're doing negotiation, if they encounter a major conflict, I would say take a break. make concession. Simply say, I'm afraid I cannot accept this. It's really hard for us to accept this. Or let's talk some other day. Let's figure out if there are any better solution. Yeah, try to avoid it. Try to put it aside for a while. Don't like face it directly. Don't add the fire on the over the issue. And also, there's another way I think it can be used in this kind of situation. It's you find a third party, you find a third person like a middleman, that both parties are respected, both parties agree with on it. Those person can be fair, right? And find that person to try to handle the situation for you, try to find a solution for you so that both parties can be satisfied about it. That's also another way to do it. So never like face the conflict and make it even worse. That's that's how I feel about how to handle the conflicts.
Pretty good. Pretty
Yeah.
good. Thank you very much. We have one last question here. We have a couple of questions though from the audience here, but this is my last question: is how to prepare yourself for a Chinese negotiation.
mm, that's a good question.
I think I have a slight idea because all of what you have been said, but go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I would say, since we already talked about the Guanxi relationship, right? So yeah, you probably have the idea in mind that you need to build that first. It's very important. And some other thing I would mention is that be prepared. Be prepared. Always be prepared. So like you have to know yourself and know them, know your let's say business partners, right? Or know your clients. Know yourself means that you know your product, you know your price, you know your company, right? You know everything about yourself. You know what's your limit, right? When you do a negotiation. Know your partner means that you have know their company, right? Their organization, their products, and then know their culture, right? What they expect, how do they behavior during negotiation. So do some homework, do some research, be prepared. That's the easy part, right? So you know yourself. You can do some preparation by yourself, by your part, and know your partners also. So be prepared. That's the first one. And the second one, I would say, learn some Chinese, learn some Chinese language, and have some knowledge about Chinese culture. So that way, you will have the idea. You will understand that why do they behavior in certain way, right? Why do they behave in this way instead of that way? Why do this during the negotiation? Are they trying to cheating me? Are they trying to upset me? Why do they do this certain things? You will have a better understanding of it. So I'm not saying that you have to. I'm not saying it's not because I am a Chinese teacher and coach. I'm saying that because it's really important. And also, I'm not saying that you have to reach a very high level proficiency of Chinese. Just learn a little bit. Basic Chinese goes a long way. Small things make a big differences. You can just show it to your partners once in a while, and I'm sure that they will be happy to hear you. And this shows that you have the interest and you have the curiosity to understand more about their culture and their language, right? So yeah, and I'm sure that they will be happy to help you, right? So I think if you don't know any Chinese phrases or sentences or culture knowledge, maybe it's the time for you to learn a little bit. And I mean, think about it. What's the worst scenario would be? Let's say if you say something silly, you say something funny, and people don't understand you. The worst scenario would be you guys have a good laugh about it, right? Yeah, and I'm sure that they will be happy to help you improve your skill. And plus, and this will give you one more opportunity to advance the relationship, right? And it's gonna shorten the distance. People always saying, what's the best way to make friends from other culture? It's that you show genuine interest to their culture and to their language. And for example, I'm here in Mexico right now. I love the food. I love churros. And I ask people around where I can best get the best churros in town. Everybody tries to help me and tell me, oh, you should go this place, you should go that place. They have really good churros. and I make some friends and they teach me Spanish and show me the food, show me the best restaurant in town. That's how you make friends, right? So yeah, that's my suggestion, to learn some Chinese and learn some culture elements. It's gonna definitely help you. And the last very important, and last but not least, the advice I would say, be prepared and practice a lot, because there are lots of techniques and lots of tactics and strategy in Chinese negotiation culture. I mean, seriously, we have a negotiation culture. Most of them have more experience in terms of negotiation than foreigners. We have the book, very well-known book. It's called The Art of the War. The Art of the War. I'm not sure if,
Sun Tzu?
yeah, it's written by Sun Tzu, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it can teach you. It teach you how to negotiate. Yeah, you learn all these different tactics from that book, right? So we have a negotiation culture. We generally like negotiation. Chinese people love negotiation. They would take longer time, do negotiation to achieve their goals. So you better be prepared. You can to practice a lot. That's how you get prepared. So when you practice in your mind over and over, oh, in this kind of scenario, if they raise the price or if they throw something unreasonable at me, how do I handle it? Practice over in your mind. But I would suggest that the best way is to find somebody else to practice with you. Somebody can design the scenario, the context for you, so that you can practice in that context. Let's say, how do you gonna react in real life negotiation situation? Let's practice in that context. Let's do a mock practice, right? Let's pretend I'm a Chinese negotiator. You're a businessman from Mexico. How do we handle the situation? So once you practice a lot, your brain have the memory, right? Your brain has the memory how to deal negotiation with Chinese. So a human being only can retain the information that we have done by action. For example, we know how to eat. Why do we how to know it? Why do we know how to eat? That's because we practiced since we were a little baby, right? Nobody has to teach us. So if you practice a lot, next time in real life situation when you do negotiate with Chinese people, your brain will access to that memory and information immediately, like boom, you know how to do it. It's not like if they use some strategy or tactic to you, you will not like get emotional or lose your cool, right? Oh, you are cheating me. You're reached the prize, right? You will not get emotional. You will say in your mind, you will feel like, huh, I know what you're doing. I know what you're doing here. I know why you're doing this. And I know how to play the same back to you. And I know how to handle the situation. So that's what I'm saying. You have to practice over and over. Practice makes perfect. Perfect, right? So those are my last suggestion. Yeah, so this is basically, I'm doing it right now with my clients. Do role play. I give you a situation. Let's say we're in the meeting room. I'm the Chinese negotiator, and you're a negotiator from U.S. or from Mexico. We're negotiating some terms. If there's a conflict, how do you do it? If I give you my first offer, first price, how do you react? How do you react? Are you gonna take the first price, or are you gonna return it down? How do you do it? So yeah, Chinese negotiation has lots of amazing tactics and strategy. First, if you don't know it, you may feel scary and complicated. But once you know it, once you learn it, once you understand it, it's incredible and you're going to have so much fun. You're going to have so much fun.
Sounds like that. Sounds like that.
Yeah.
I was interested on this interview. Now I'm amazed about what you just shared with us because it looks like a whole new world in negotiations. And I've been involved in negotiation processes in that subject at college, and I think it is a very important skill that we must develop on our side. But one part is knowing how to negotiate and on techniques, but then the other part is a cultural part, which I
Yes.
think you just mentioned that. I mean, that's the first part that you would need to learn, understand, and make that part of your strategy, right? The
Yeah.
cultural part.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that will help us, everybody, I think,
Yeah.
help
The
us a lot.
culture part is always the difficult part. Yes.
I totally agree. Totally agree.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a couple of questions. We have come to the last question here. That was
Mm-hmm.
our last question here.
Mm-hmm.
15 minutes already passed, and it's like 15 to me. But we have the first question here is from a gentleman called Dong Rang Tu. He says, "Thanks, Lipping and Victor, for sharing this. I would like to know, do we need to have a certain level of Chinese in order to start the program?" I think he refers to your program. I think I know this person. Oh, he was my student. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, he's asking that. Do we need certain level of Chinese in order to start your program? How's that?
Oh, so you're talking about my program.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
definitely.
okay, got you. Okay, so like I mentioned earlier, my program is a customized program. So it's basically I design the program based on your need. So your, let's say if your Chinese level, it's very basic, like you're a beginner, but you have the need to use it in business world. So I can design the program exactly fit your needs. Yeah, so it matches with your level. I wouldn't teach you very advanced stuff if you're beginners. So yeah, I hope that answer your questions. So
All right.
basically, my student or clients, they have various like business profit, like a Chinese proficiency level. Some of them beginners, some of the level are intermediate, some of them are advanced learners.
All right.
Yes,
So that's like a customized kind of program, right?
yes, it's a lot of work to do because you have to
Yeah,
customize everything for each person, right? But I really enjoy the process because that's how you help them, right?
I totally agree with you.
Yes.
And then here's another question. It says, "Is it still a preferred choice to meet the counterpart at restaurants?" That's the first one.
I'm sorry, I didn't see the question. Can you repeat it? It's still a preferred choice
Uh, yeah, is it still a
restaurant.
preferred choice to meet the counterpart at restaurants? Yeah, I think he
Hmm.
means that if it is appropriate to meet the counterpart in a restaurant.
Okay, so I would say it depends. Depends on different situation. So if you guys are having a meeting or you're talking about something about business, right? So I would say you always check with that person, like showing some respect to ask about their opinions. Since where do you want to go? Which location do you think is best for us to meet? I would say, since we build a relationship during the social gatherings, right? So it is okay to meet at a restaurant or at the bar or at the golf club. It's okay, but let them choose. Give them options. It will always the good idea because you're showing respect and also you're giving them face. You don't just shoot them a message. You say, "Hey, tomorrow morning 8 o'clock, let's meet at the hotel or let's meet at the golf club," right? You want to give them choice and option. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. You need to be polite, right, on that part, and
Yes.
just
Yes.
like just like you will treat a new friend, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
What are the
Uh,
pros and cons
yeah.
for negotiation take place in business dinner?
Right.
Okay, so business dinner is so if you have ever had the experience or if you have ever got a chance to go to China doing negotiation in person with Chinese professionals, you will see that the social gatherings are very common. Business dinner is one of them, right? So the pros, I would say, you're doing communication face to face, right? And it's very efficient and it's easier for you guys to build a relationship, right? You can talk, you can exchange the information, you can, make a joke, you can share lots of stuff in person, right? It's always a efficient way to build a relationship. But I would say Chinese eating culture and our dining etiquette is different, and our drinking culture is different. I'm not sure if you guys heard about that. The baijiu culture is very common in China. Yeah,
No.
during business dinner, people drink and they expecting you drink,
All
and
right.
sometimes they test you. They test you how much you can drink.
Oh yeah, I have heard that part. Yeah, I have heard that. Yeah.
We have an old saying in Chinese: "If you are my friend, bottoms up, drink this off."
All right. There's
Yeah,
another saying in Mexico that it goes around that, but
right.
I'm not gonna repeat that, but it goes around that. Yeah.
Kind of similar in Mexico, right?
Yeah, yeah. So there's a saying in Mexico that I'd rather repeat that in a private session with you,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
not
yeah.
here.
So
So yeah, so there's a difference between dinner and food and drinks, right? You were saying.
yes, so talking about the dining etiquette, right? So since it's a business dinner, there's etiquette that there out there you need to pay attention. For
Hmm.
example, when is the best time for you to sit? Which seat you should take? Like if there's multiple people there, if multiple people in the business dinner, what should you say? You should make a toast, right? Then who should you toast first? How do you hold your cups? How do you hold your cups? Those things that matter. Those things are very essential and very common in business, in Chinese business dining culture. And also they, if they are expecting you to drink, if you let's say if you are not a drinker or you don't drink usually, how do you turn down, how do you refuse to it, right? And how do you just simply politely say that I cannot drink, but I still respect, I'm really happy to have this opportunity to to meet with you, to have this dinner with you, right? How do you do that? So that's other difficult part you need to pay attention.
All right. Like I said, you make it sound so easily that I forgot that we're talking about Chinese and we need to speak Chinese in order to make this happen, right?
It is
So, all
it
right.
is fun. It is fun, but it's if you like if you don't understand it, it's hard.
Yeah,
It's hard.
yeah.
That's why lots of foreigners they have hard time dealing with Chinese in terms of negotiation, right? 'Cause
All
sometimes
right.
they don't understand the culture.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
I got one question of my own here
Mhm.
that I was thinking about this. Uh, would you suggest to have a translator whenever we visit for the first time China to do businesses or business?
I would say since we have the language barriers, right?
Uh-huh.
So it's very necessary for you to find a translator, but not just any translator. Find a qualified, find a really good one, because the culture differences, the Chinese culture and Chinese language. So I, there's one, for Chinese, for in China, we have a very high context culture. High context culture means that our communication is heavily rely on nonverbal cues. Non-verbal cues means that not rely on the word that we're talking about, right? It's relying on non-verbal cues means your body language, your facial expression, your action, your eyes, your lips. So read my lips, read my face, read my action, figure out what I'm talking about. So that's
Yeah.
high context culture. So that means, so if you find a translator, make sure that she or he understand those hidden culture concept behind it, right? So he can translate everything. Otherwise, it's lots of things gonna get lost during the translation, right?
All
So
right.
for Western culture, for example, Mexico or American, some Western culture, they have very low context culture, meaning that the communication is heavily rely on the words that we're saying, right? I'm saying yes means yes, I'm saying no means no. It's very direct and explicit. You don't have to guess. Everything's clear. So that's very different. Yeah.
All right. All right. I love that part. I love that part on the body language and the you need to understand everything, not just the word as an answer, but everything together, right? The way that I
Yeah.
said it, my tone of my voice, the volume of my voice, and how I look when I said that part,
Yes,
right?
exactly. For example, uh, for Chinese, sometimes we say yes means no. Sometimes we say no means yes. For example, during a business negotiation, if you explain everything that your product, your price, everything to me, if I say, I will think about it. I will think about it. Then you probably think that, oh, I'm gonna think about it, right? I probably, there's 50-50 chance that you're gonna take the offer, right? But in reality, if the Chinese say I'm gonna think about it, that's no. Yeah. So
Mm,
if your translator, didn't get that part, it's probably gonna,
right.
yeah, cause some misunderstanding.
So they are not telling you no because they don't want to tell you no in that precise moment, right? But they're telling
Yeah.
you, well, I'm going to think about it. So that way I have 50% chance of saying
Yeah,
yes or
so
no.
they will make you think that you still have some chance, right? But in
Uh,
reality, they feel like that's, oh, this is not what I want, because again, we don't want to lose face, and we don't want let you lose face, right? We don't want to tell you
uh,
no, no, that's not something I want. I'm not interested. They will not say that, right?
make a lot of sense with the conflict part that you explained to us just a few minutes
Yes,
ago.
yes.
Yeah,
So will
makes a
not
lot of sense.
directly tell you that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all right. Well,
Hmm.
thank you very much, Liping. Have been an amazing first episode, I think, and I hope we can have you later on again here. And everybody, I think, should attend your training here because I think it's very important. Not just because of China, but we now understand more about even the human part of negotiation, right?
Yes.
So I
Hmm.
really enjoy having this interview with you. I hope we can speak again soon, and hopefully, probably we can work together even, right?
Yes,
So
yeah, that would be amazing.
yeah, that will
Yes.
be amazing. Yeah, I
Hmm.
totally agree with you. So thank you very much. I will tell you thank you by now. We
Hmm.
can let you go, but I would like to tell you my last words in a few seconds. All right. So wait for us
Okay.
on the outside part of this web talk. Thank you
Absolutely.
very
Thank you.
much, Sleeping.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
having
Really
me out.
appreciate it.
Yeah. Hmm.
A pleasure. A pleasure. Thank you very much.
Okay.
So muchas gracias a todos los que estuvieron en esta sesión. Fue una sesión fantástica. Ahí tienen la charla con Liping Yan. Estará precisamente en nuestro canal de YouTube y en nuestra plataforma de Facebook. Y si ustedes creen que a alguien les interesaría esta charla, pues pueden compartirlo. Nos vemos la próxima semana. La próxima semana tendremos a otra invitada. Esperemos que sea, estamos seguros que va a ser igual de interesante la próxima charla. Y estén atentos a nuestros anuncios de WebTalks. Muchísimas gracias por haber estado con nosotros. Espero que lo hayan disfrutado igual como lo disfrutamos nosotros. Y nos vemos en la próxima sesión. Será el próximo miércoles y estén atentos. Muchas gracias. Mi nombre es Víctor García. Nos vemos muy pronto. Adiós.